Credit score myth busting. In this section, we're going to take a look at 5 common myths about credit scores and see whether they're actually true or not. In effect, we're going to be running our own episode of the show Mythbusters, except instead of blowing stuff up or making things fly, we're going to be looking at something much more exciting: credit scores. Now, I actually emailed Adam and Jamie from the show to ask if they'd do a TV episode with these, but they haven't got back to me yet. Maybe the material is just too edgy and dangerous for them. Who knows? But if you see credit scores on the actual show sometime soon, you'll know where they got the idea from. Okay, so the 5 areas we're going to be testing today are checking your own credit, applying for new credit cards, canceling cards, what happens when you pay off your old balances, and some thoughts on when your credit report has little history or you have a low score. Let's dive right in. First myth: checking your own score hurts your credit score. False. Boom. Like we mentioned earlier in the component section, checking your own score is a soft credit inquiry and doesn't affect your score. Next myth: applying for credit cards always hurts your credit score. This one's a bit tricky, but the actual answer is false. The truth is, a lot of factors come into play here, and applying for a card usually results in a short-term drop in your score of around 3 to 5 points for a few months. But then your score recovers and actually can increase above what it was before the application. Let's see why. On the upside, opening up a new account increases your credit availability, so helps the amounts owed component of your score. You're also adding to the number of credit lines available to you and your credit mix. On the downside, you have a hard credit inquiry and a new account opened. But it's important to remember that the new accounts component only makes up 10% of your score, and those effects fade with time. In my own experience, and of people I know, after opening up one or even a few credit cards in a short time period, I've always seen a short-term score drop, then a gradual rise in the score to eventually above the point where it was before the credit card application. Seems a bit counterintuitive, but makes sense once you understand how your credit score works. Next myth: canceling a credit card boosts your score. That's what our friend Charles here thought. He just canceled his card. Then he realized his score may actually drop because of it. Here are the reasons why. Closing an account doesn't remove it from your credit report, so don't try and close an old account that might have some bad marks on it, like late payments, just to get it off your report. That won't work. Similarly, since the closed account remains on your report, it will still be a factor in the average age calculation, so there's no immediate effect there. Some potential downsides though. If you close an account, you lose that credit availability, so that can hurt your score because it hurts the amounts owed section. You can counteract that though by transferring the credit limit to another card if that's available to you. You also decrease the number of credit lines available to you and potentially hurt your credit mix. In general, I try to not close an account unless I have good reason to, like if there's an annual fee. Okay, fourth myth: paying off my old balances will instantly give me a good score. False. If you've been running a balance on a credit card, or are currently late on payments on an account, paying them off will give your score a boost, but it doesn't remove those late payments from your report. Those are on there for at least 2 years from the date of their occurrence. Paying off large balances can help, especially if they're hurting your utilization, but to truly boost your score, if you've been late on payments, you need to get those marks removed from your report. We'll cover some ways to try to do that in the last section of this course. And the 5th and final myth: having little credit history or a bad score is impossible to remedy. As this man clearly indicates, nothing is impossible. The truth is, you can build credit and repair a bad score. It just takes time and effort. 2 ways to do this, which we'll cover more later, are opening up new accounts and working to have negative marks removed from your credit report. And that does it for this episode of Credit Score Myth Busting. Hope you enjoyed.